Absolutely. So this is a group scaling issue. These are what we call power laws. They are when you scale the size of a city, you scale the growth of an organism, a human child, an elephant's tusk. There are specific mathematical properties that derive from this, and can be economies of scale. They can be sublinear, they can be superlinear. So, for example, when a city grows in size, crime grows not just linearly; it grows as an exponent. So it's like a little bit higher than the population size. So you have to have countermeasures for all this. The same applies to any organization. As it grows, it has to be incredibly mindful of scaling. Like I said before, the camp is the fundamental human unit. Within that, you had effectively what were called fire teams. The US military uses these to incredible extent. So they're groups of individuals that are between 3 and 5. The sweet spot is 4. The reason why 4 is magic in terms of getting a project up and off the ground is because you can develop trust with the individuals when you work with them long term. You have the capacity to develop trust, and that's one of the most powerful ingredients to enhancing team level cohesion. When you scale beyond 4, you're flirting with something like maybe sort of a board of people, 12 to 15 people, and you can have a very strong local identity, but beyond that, you start getting into trouble. Your capacity to be able to have meaningful relationships reduce. And there's actually a law, it's called Dunbar's law, and it's equal to Dunbar's number, which is 150 individuals. 150 individuals is mathematically the computational limit that the human brain, the Homo sapien brain, can actually process meaningful relationships. Beyond that, it's just muddle. It's incoherent because it's just a cognitive processing limitation. So in essence, it's not like we have a morality problem as a species. It's an energy problem. When you scale beyond 150, it's just impossible to extend empathy continuously at that level. What this means for organizations is that you want to be very mindful of organizational group structure. Anything beyond 150 is going to be into the tribal zone. It's going to be, do we have a collective identity that these 10,000 employees are effectively proud to belong to? And you can measure it. You can ask them on survey, how proud are you to belong to Gore-Tex? And they will give you a number that will tell you effectively, it's like the health of your identity. And that will directly predict work satisfaction. Do people have a sense of belonging? And that will all feed into their performance throughout their entire career at that organization. So you have to be very mindful of that 150 zone, how you organize that, and below the 150, you have to leverage those face-to-face relationships and let them build that trust and build what's called psychological safety. And so this is very, very different than sort of like the HR version of psychological safety. It means, and this was from Project Aristotle, and Google ran this about 3 or 4 years ago. 40,000 subjects in their study, all Google employees. Their research question was, how do we make the perfect performing team? The biggest, and I mean by far the most powerful effect size, was what we called psychological safety. This was defined as, in my group, can I say a countervailing opinion without fear of devastating reprisal? Meaning, will I be excommunicated for authentically saying what I believe, right? To be the case about any given topic. And so that measure was directly predictive of group performance. And so when you make constraints around what people can and can't say, note that the sacrifice of that is perhaps actual genuine psychological safety. And so you might be creating an environment that is hostile to psychological safety, which will, in the end, reduce team level performance. So it's very nuanced, but you got to make sure you're very aware of this and you're aware of the group scaling effects as well.